right, folks. We know that leading elites, we're talking about people like Bill Gates, Chris Whitty, who is the chief medical officer of England, Robert Redfield, who's a former U.S. CDC director, and even the World Health Organization Director General, and many others have made these ominous predictions of the next pandemic that will surpass what COVID ever brought. And wait till we show you a hypothesis of what a leading U.S. epidemiologist named Michael T. Osterholm is predicting. We're going to talk about that today. And we're also going to talk about this really eerie report of a version of a flu that these people have come up with in some back laboratory, some backdoor darkroom laboratory that has 100% death rate in mammals. Why are we talking about this? Because I think it's imperative that we make you aware that all of these top elites and these people know it's not a matter of if, but when this thing comes down the pike. And we've been 5 years? We're going on 5 years since the last pandemic. How long are we going to go until we see another repeat of this? And the reason why I ask that is because everything is set up in place for this. And I have to be careful how I say this. So I'm just going to kind of give you a surface level of this, but the information level of this, the jab level of this, the coordination level of this, all of the dry runs, the last pandemic was simply, in my opinion, was a massive dry run. It was a prelude. It wasn't even the real thing. We're talking about small on a scale compared to what is coming down the road. So we're going to talk about that on today's podcast. So buckle up. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is Wednesday, October the 22nd, 2025. Welcome to the broadcast. This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. Of course, I'm your host, founder, and voice of End Time Headlines, Ricky Scaparo. Want to get you some quick announcements, guys, before we get into the meat of what we're going to talk about today. As many of you guys know that keep up with our podcast, you will know that my family and I are heading out of town. I was originally going to do a broadcast for tomorrow night, but I've decided that tonight, again, this is Wednesday, October the 22nd, will be our last broadcast until Monday of next week. Now, let me put a caveat out there. If in the event, depending on what time we get back home, on Sunday, we're planning on driving back home on Sunday. If I get home in time, we may schedule a live stream Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we could do just a devotional and prayer time. It's been a while since we've done that. Again, I'm not saying it's in concrete, it's in stone, but it's something that we may be able to do that. If not, then again, tonight will be our last broadcast. We'll be off Thursday night, Friday night, and then of course the weekend. And then we'll resume on Monday of next week. So, we just wanted to get those announcements out of the way. So we appreciate your prayers for travel mercies, and all that as we travel. And again, just getting away, spending some time with just our family. Rest, relaxation. It's something. This is part of my own journey of restoring my health. I have to do this probably once or twice a year, and it's really beneficial. It's kind of like hitting that reset button, and everybody should do that, guys. If you're able to just get away, even if it's for the weekend or something, in town or out of town, or go on a hiking a trail, or go up into the mountains, or go down to the beach, or whatever you can do. If it's possible, if you could do that, it's always beneficial to get that reset. So guys, again, we welcome you to the program. If you're new, first time joining us, Let us know in the comments that you're new, or in the chat. If you're in the chat, let us know. We welcome you. And we hope that you come back and you find value in our content. And it's a blessing for information, revelation, equipping, encouraging, and all of the above. And if you'd like to keep up with everything we're doing, hit that like button. That's going to push us out there on the algorithm. And then hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification here on YouTube. That's going to be a great benefit to you as well, because it'll notify you. And you can take it a step further and download our free app. It's available on Apple and Android devices. You can pick yours up today by visiting your Play Store. Depending on what that looks like for you, you can pick it up. Hit yes to push notifications once you download the app, and you'll be notified of breaking news, prophecy updates, podcasts. Everything will be right at your fingertips. So, guys, as I said at the introduction of this, now we've talked about, if for you guys are regular viewers of this, you know we've talked about this before, but we get so many new viewers, which is, praise God, that's a great thing. And not everybody knows this. So just give me about 5 minutes. If you've heard this before, bear with this for those who may not know this, but there are key elites. We're talking about Bill Gates, Melinda Gates created what's called the Gates Foundation. Bill Gates has predicted that the last pandemic was a, quote, lucky break in terms of its fatality rate, and that a future pandemic could have a much higher death rate. For instance, he stated that, quote, if another virus emerges with similar virulence that a much higher fatality rate, it could be society ending. Okay? He has estimated that the chance of another pandemic in our lifetimes is more than 50%. He went on to suggest the next one could occur within the next 25 years. Then you have Chief Medical Officer of England, Chris Whitty, warned that a pandemic as big as the last pandemic is a certainty if we do not prepare. Robert Redfield, former U.S. CDC director, warned that the next pandemic will be much more catastrophic than the last pandemic. World Health Organization Director General has repeatedly cautioned that the threat remains of another pathogen emerging with even deadlier potential. Quote, the threat of another variant emerging that causes new surges of disease and death remains, and the threat of another pathogen emerging with even deadlier potential remains. And that, quote, when the next pandemic comes knocking, and it will, we must be ready to answer decisively, collectively, and equitably. Scientists, elites, commentators all point to a more increasing zoonotic spillover disease scenario, whereas we're talking about diseases jumping from animals to humans, faster global travel, human encroachment on habits, and the CC word they use, it's another term for the planet changing. All of these factors say heighten the risk. Then the World Health Organization has consistently warned of disease X. This is a term it's used to denote an unknown pathogen, which means basically one that is not previously known could cause the next pandemic. The World Health Organization includes this term in its planning for future pandemic threats. Again, these are all, you can find all these resources out there. They're out there, guys. Now I want to pull this article up. This is from the Daily Mail. Look at it. I'm going to read this headline. Quote, haunting prediction of where next pandemic will strike and how the big one will kill more than 7 million like a, quote, biological bomb. The next pandemic will begin with the death of a single baby in Africa and go on to kill more than 7 million Americans, with 20 times more fatalities worldwide. This was a chilling conclusion of a thought experiment carried out by a leading U.S. epidemiologist, Michael T. Osterholm. More horrific still, the catastrophe is currently unavoidable. Quote, the big one, he says, is not optional. Professor Osterholm, one of the most strident voices in favor of the jabs, no surprise, to combat the last pandemic, is the founding director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy. So alarmed The 72-year-old medic, who is also credited with helping to contain the 2014 outbreak of Ebola, he is using apocalyptic language. Look at that. More usually heard from religious fanatics than from doctors. In his new book, The Big One, we're not talking about an earthquake here. We're talking about a pandemic. He says the next global epidemic will be like a biological bomb going off. Interesting term there. The world will once again be on fire. If that sounds like the prediction of a nuclear holocaust, Osterholm warns the impact of a full-scale pandemic, something that makes the last pandemic look like a dry run. Wow, the terms, guys, they're using is fascinating to me. It will be worse than any atomic blast. Quote, we spend billions of dollars every year, he says, on national defense and security in the U.S., but pandemics have killed more human beings in modern times than all the wars in history. It's no exaggeration to say that each of us remains in far greater constant danger from microbial enemies than from human ones. Osterholm refuses to commit himself on the question of what triggered the last pandemic explosion, whether it was zoonotic disease that crossed over from bats and possibly other animals, or a, quote, man-made contagion that escaped from a lab at the Wuhan Institute of Virology in China. Of course, he's not going to comment on it because he knows the answer to that, and we all know the answer to that. Well, this is where scientists were supercharging viruses with gain-of-function powers. Whatever the truth of that case, he says we have to be constantly alert for new and lethal strains of disease making the leap from the animal kingdom. The most likely sources are not only bats, but pigs and poultry. Monkeys as well could harbor sicknesses that yet unknown in humans. Again, this is the disease X they're talking about, to which we will have little or no resistance. One emerged nearly 80 years ago in Uganda's Zika forest, a flavirus that is at first seemed comparatively harmless. It caused mild rashes, conjunctivitis, and muscle pains, but then 10 years ago, scientists discovered it was capable of setting off a Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a paralyzing autoimmune disease. One outbreak in Brazil also caused babies of infected mothers to be born with microcephaly, their heads abnormally small with brains that did not develop properly. As an illustration of how varied the dangers of zoonotic diseases can be, Osterholm begins his thought experiment with a respiratory infection transmitted to humans from camels. Now, here's his hypothesis, right? This is not a fanciful. In 2012, a coronavirus outbreak dubbed Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or MERS, as you may know it, appeared in the Arabian Peninsula spread by camels. MERS was terrifying deadly. Osterholm believes that the last pandemic had a fatality rate around 3.4%, but the death rate of MERS was 10 times higher, about 1 in 3. Thought experiments, a favorite device of Albert Einstein, are a way of testing hypothetical ideas. In military circles, they're also known as wargaming. The purpose of the exercise is to emulate a pandemic from first infections to mass lockdowns and discover the best responses so that when we are next faced with a potential international medical emergency, the world is, quote, better prepared to cope. One thing we learned from the last pandemic is that some people may get ill yet never pass the virus on to anyone else. Others are super spreaders entirely by accident. They convey the disease to dozens, perhaps even hundreds or thousands of other people. In the worst case scenario, they will transport the virus to another continent. This accelerates the rate of spread far beyond anything imaginable even 100 years ago. Osterholm's imaginary outbreak starts on the border of Kenya and war-torn Somalia. Subsistence farmers scratching a living from the drought-stricken land and constantly at the mercy of marauding gangs of soldiers frequently see their children die of cholera, measles, and Dunjay fever. But the sickness that spreads through one community is different, more like flu. It brings chills, hacking cough, aching muscles, and persistent dull pain in the head. The local health worker can do little except advise sufferers to drink plenty of water and rest as much as they can. For the farming families, Along this parched borderland, both those notions are impossible. To make life more difficult, still several are seeing their camels sicken and die. These animals not only help to grind corn and pump the wells and carry produce to market, but also provide milk. Their loss is a terrible blow. As she visits each village, the health worker has no idea that she is carrying the virus herself. She is the first super spreader. Many of the mothers whose babies she helps deliver and the children she vaccinates will catch the contagion from her. But the mysterious illness is already moving beyond the village. One family whose crop has failed decided to make the trek to a refuge camp on the other side of the border, 50 miles away. On the way, their baby develops a constant racking cough. 3 days after they arrive at the camp, she dies. This imaginary scenario is all too plausible. The virus, so far undiagnosed, is a variety of MERS. How it arrived in the village can hardly be guessed, but perhaps it came from the wild with contact between domesticated and untamed camels. Now, again, guys, this is a hypothesis. This is not something that's actually happening. It was then transmitted to humans through dung or saliva. Viral crossovers like this are probably not uncommon, but rarely spread. The difference in this hypothetical scenario is that the contagion mutated, becoming transmissible through the air, not necessarily in droplets or by touch. People were becoming infected by simply breathing the virus in, so it's airborne. It was this, Ulsterholm believes, that made the last pandemic, so virulent. For a long time, most doctors refused to believe that the virus was being passed from one person to another through the air. They thought it was a contact disease caught from particles of spittle when people stood and talked too close to each other during the early stages of the pandemic. Official advice was for everyone to wash their hands frequently to reduce the risk of infection by touch and to wear paper masks to prevent airborne droplets from being breathed in and out. But these precautions were largely useless. Ulsterholm urges that the only effective preventative is to wear a certified N95 respirator, a plastic breathing apparatus similar to gas masks worn during World War II. He recognizes how extreme this will seem to most people, including those working in hospitals in a place where large numbers of people are gathered, such as a refugee camp. All right, so guys, he goes on and on and on and talks about this nightmare scenario, and it literally spells out like the movie, if you've ever seen it, the movie Contagion or Outbreak. That's what we're talking about here. And this is what they're warning about. It's only not a matter of if, but when this takes place. Now, there's some things that really caught my attention. That's why I wanted to talk about this that are actually happening. All right, look at this. Officials confirm deadly virus that caused COVID-style restrictions in China now in New York. A deadly mosquito-borne virus that triggered quarantines and strict restrictions in China this past summer has now been confirmed in the U.S. According to New York health officials, a 60-year-old woman from Hempstead, Manhattan, was diagnosed with the suspected chikungunya in August. This is the disease they're talking about from mosquitoes. It's a mosquito-borne virus. Although she claims she had not traveled off the island, she is now the first locally acquired case of this disease ever reported in the city. Quote, "We urge everyone to take simple precautions to protect themselves and their families from mosquito bites." This was from the state health commissioner. This virus is spread through mosquitoes. It causes excruciating joint pain in the hands and feet and life-threatening complications related to the heart and brain. The pain can be severe, so severe that sufferers are unable to move normally for months. Now again, since the beginning of this year, more than 317,000 cases and 135 related deaths of this disease have been reported across 16 countries. More than 10,000 cases were reported in China, resulting in the CDC issuing a level 2 travel warning for a province there in China when the epicenter of the outbreak took place. Similar to the last pandemic, patients were, quote, quarantined in hospitals and electricity was cut off to residents who did not follow government health protocols. And now this has now come over to the United States. Now I want to show you another Now, this is a piece from Michael Snyder this was really alarming. I want to show you this. Look at this headline. Now they have a version of the flu that has a 100% death rate in mammals. What? What is this about here? Why would scientists purposely try to make the flu more deadly? During the flu pandemic of 1918, it is estimated that somewhere between 50 and 100 million died globally. But apparently, that's not good enough. And so they have come up with a far deadlier version, and they have published their findings so that any terrorist organization in the world could potentially copy their work. What in the world is this, guys? Snyder said, as I've repeatedly pointed out to my readers, man-made pestilences are one of the greatest existential threats that we face. What they are doing is literally insane, but nobody is going to stop them. In a research paper that was recently published, a team of American and South Korean researchers reveal how they created a version of the bird flu that is 100% fatal in mammals. Guys, are you kidding me? Let me read this quote. A September Science Advances paper confirms that U.S. and South Korean researchers have engineered a, quote, Frankenstein chimeric bird flu virus that is said to be 100% fatal in mammals, infect human immune cells, and spread throughout the body, including into the brain. The international team, led by, I'm not even going to try to pronounce, Young Ki Choi of the Korea Virus Research Institute and Richard J. Webby of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, rebuilt and genetically modified. According to this report, these two individuals, look at this, I'm going to highlight this, rebuilt and genetically modified the North American H5N1 avian influenza strain A. Okay, with all this other stuff here. The mad scientists mixed Eurasian and North American bird flu viruses, and two very specific genetic changes were made to make the new virus far more aggressive. What could possibly go wrong here? The researchers focused on two specific genetic changes, PB2-4781 and MP-450N, as if that means anything to anyone that's watching or listening, but nevertheless, that together made the virus far more aggressive, able to infect a wider range of cells and capable of spreading throughout the body instead of staying in the lungs. So, what happened when they tested this Frankenstein virus? According to Snyder, who did the research on this, it killed every single one of the mammals it was tested on. And the researchers discovered that it could infect human blood cells, that it could use human immune cells to spread, and that it could actually invade the brain. So let me recap this. Number one, it killed 100% of the mammals tested. Number two, it infected and replicated in human blood cells. Number three, it spread systematically through immune cells. And number four, it invaded the brain. The fact that this virus can infect human immune cells directly made it a weapon of mass destruction that must never escape a laboratory setting under any circumstances. And do you actually believe, do you feel safe at night? Are you sleeping good at night knowing that the probabilities of that happening are very low? Right. Now they have told the whole world how they did it. They published this. Are you kidding me, guys? You can't make this stuff up. They literally published this in their research, how they created this. So what's going to happen now that this is out there on the World Wide Web? And somebody says, well, brother, you're posting it. Yeah, guys, by the time we publish this, it's already out there, okay? It's not like, they're waiting for end-time headlines. I'm sorry. I mean, I appreciate you guys thinking that we're that influential, but come on now. It's out there. And then meanwhile, I don't know if you saw this or not, but health officials in Los Angeles County said on Friday they are investigating a possible spread of a more severe strain of Mpox. 2 cases of this strain were identified among Los Angeles County residents with no recent travel history.
All right, let's go to this breaking news alert right now. The first case of a severe mpox is confirmed in the U.S.
Health officials say this person has no travel history. Peyton Kennedy is at the WKRN.com alert desk to explain. Peyton, good morning.
Nicole, good morning. And that is significant because all prior cases of the more severe strain in the U.S. involved travel to Africa. The mpox case was confirmed in Long Beach, California. It is the 7th case of the more severe strain confirmed in the U.S. this year. The patient required hospitalization and is now isolating and recovering at home. Officials say the risk to the general public is low, but the health department is investigating where this possible exposure may have started.
All right, guys. So again, I want to recap this, but we just need to be aware, guys, of what's going on. You know, there is some nefarious things going on, and it's amazing how we're always warned ahead of time. Again, we're warned through conditioning. We're warned through subliminal messages that are given, predictive programming through television, movies, books, scenarios, hypothesis. And you've got this, I mean, these people, these crazy nuts creating this stuff in back rooms, in dark laboratories. Now, we're going to kind of bring this home right here. We're not going to go long. Like I said, guys, this week we've been keeping these kind of short. And then I'm hoping, when we get back next week, we'll get back to our regular programming, which is typically 45 minutes to an hour long. But let me bring it home with this. In the book of Revelation, you get to Revelation chapter 6, there's the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse that are released in the earth. Again, this is during the tribulation. One of these, according to Revelation 6, verse 7 through 8, it talks about this pale horse. And the word pale in Greek is chloros. It's literally like a green color. And let me read this. When the Lamb opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature say, "Come." And I looked, and there before me was a pale horse, and its rider was named Death, and Hades was following close behind him. They were given power over 1/4 of the earth to kill by sword, famine, and plague, and by the wild beast of the earth. And again, just as I said here, guys, the Greek word for pale here is chloros, meaning a pale green. It's literally the color of if you could depict a corpse or something, someone that is sick, it represents death. Its rider is literally bringing widespread pestilence and disease upon the earth. The passage here says death and Hades, by the way, are spirits. I don't know if you know that. Death and Hades are chief prince spirits of the underworld, which we call hell. All right? These are given authority over 1/4 of the earth. So there's going to be a massive wave of death caused by this black horse and its rider or this spirit that's going to go into the earth and produce these pestilences. Now, the Greek word pestilence literally means a disease which leads unto death. So we've been kind of getting accustomed to or warming up to the emergence of these diseases like the COVID back in 2019, 2020. You had Ebola. You've got these antibiotic resistant diseases and infections emerging. And again, they're telling us that disease X, could disease X, guys, could it fulfill the black horse rider, the pale horse rider going through the earth and wiping out mass populations of people? Don't know. But we know it's coming. We know the Bible tells us this. We know the Bible says that these things are going to happen. We know that Matthew 24, Jesus said there will be pestilences, plural tense. Not just one, but there will be multiple variants and different forms of these pestilences that will impact earth and society prior to the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. So guys, I know it's a little bit different tonight, but this was just something that was kind of on my mind. I saw these articles and I knew I wanted to have a little bit of a discussion about this. Again, as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let us know on the chat what you think about these. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the pale horse rider, is this going to be something that is supernatural pestilence, or is this going to be could this be something that's man-made and God permits it or allows it to take place, and the devil just literally orchestrates it, so thus it fulfills as being one of the judgments that comes upon the earth in and during the tribulation? Again, always love to hear your thoughts. Again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. Guys, it's going to be our main website. I leave you with Luke 21:28. As always, Jesus said, when you begin to see all of these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. I want to say, guys, we appreciate you so much for coming on this Wednesday night. I know for many of you guys, this is your midweek service night at church. So we appreciate you guys coming back and watching the rebroadcast of this. And for you guys that did make it into the live chat tonight, we appreciate you as well. Listen, if this ministry blesses you, as always, and if it encourages you, equips you, whatever the case would be, and you'd like to know more about partnering with End Time Headlines, here's a quick video to give you the information on how you could do that, and we'll be right back.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this week. Again, just one, in case you came on here late and maybe you didn't catch the introduction of this at the beginning of our podcast, this is going to be our last broadcast for this week. We are traveling out of town tomorrow morning, or somewhere around mid-morning, and we're heading out of town, and we'll be gone for several days. We will not be back until Sunday night. We're taking a little time of rest and relaxation just to kind of recharge and to get that refreshing. And we will be back on Sunday night. If we get back in time, then we may throw in a live broadcast on 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday night. And if not, if we don't get to do that, we'll be back on Monday evening, same time, same place, same channel, right here, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. So until we see you guys on the next one, I appreciate your prayers. We appreciate your partnership, your support. We'll keep you updated. If anything changes, we'll keep you updated on that as well. And if there's breaking news, guys, that we absolutely must get out there, of course, we will bring you that as well. So until we see you guys on the next one, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.